friends, it's Carrie. Welcome back to Project U 2.2, where we are all about leveling up, moving from version 1.0 to 2.0, and then pushing even further to reach your 2.2 self. When we were kids, life felt structured. There were teachers, coaches, parents, and even sometimes older siblings guiding us, setting rules, and cheering us on. Someone decided what was for dinner, when we had to go to practice, when we could have a snack, and what success looked like. Our world was full of boundaries. Some we loved, some we didn't. But all of them helped us grow. And yet, we also dreamed of freedom. We would think, someday we would have our own can of soda without sharing, or get to choose exactly what we wanted for dinner. We longed for independence, for the chance to make our own decisions and to carve our own path. But the thing about freedom, it is sometimes a gift and a challenge. Without anyone monitoring us, we suddenly had choices that we never had before. And sometimes those choices just feel overwhelming. We might overindulge, overthink, or second guess ourselves. Life doesn't come with a built-in guidebook, and that's where many of us feel stuck. Today, we are going to explore what growing up someday really means. How to reclaim the joy, freedom, and support we had as kids, while learning to create it intentionally as adults. We are going to reflect, dream, and ask the kinds of questions that help us step forward, claim our choices, and evolve into the life we've always imagined. When we were kids, we were surrounded by people who pushed us to grow. We have teachers as kids expanding our minds and coaches challenging our limits. Parents, if we're lucky, teaching us how to take care of ourselves. Someone else decides what's for dinner, limits our snacks, and reminds us to eat a few fruits and vegetables. Someone else tells us when to practice, when to show up, and when we've done a good job. Someone else holds the standard for us. And in those years, it's all about growth, growing our brains, our skills, our confidence. We have structure, direction, and accountability built into every day of our lives. But then, at some point, the world tells us that we're adults now. And suddenly, that structure disappears. No more teachers checking in. No more coaches telling us to try harder. No parents reminding us to eat something green or to go to bed on time. We're supposed to have it all figured out. How to eat, how to move, how to love, work, and grow, all on our own. And most of us are doing our best. We are juggling jobs, relationships, our house, kids, bills, responsibilities. We're swimming in it all. But when you're that busy, who is actually holding you accountable for your growth? Who's pushing you to take care of your mind, your body, your spirit? Who's helping you to see what's possible when life gets heavy or routine or you feel stuck? Growth doesn't stop when we get older. It just becomes harder to prioritize when the world stops building that structure for us. Think back for a moment when you were a kid. All we really looked forward to was someday. Someday we'd get our driver's license. Someday we'd have our own car. Someday we would graduate from high school. Someday we'd be grown-ups. Someday we could have our own can of soda without sharing. You might be wondering why I keep referencing that. My mom used to let my sister and me share a can of Pepsi sometimes. Of course, she was smart, so when we would argue over who got which glass, she made the rule that whoever poured got to pick last. So you can bet we were squinting, bending down, eyeballing it to make sure the soda in each glass was perfectly even. And at the time, my mom had to share a can of soda because we just didn't have a lot of that around. Money was tight. And as you get older, you think that you can have unlimited, you can have what you want, and you can buy what you want. And while that may be true, there are consequences to that, consequences to overindulging. I used to think when I was a kid that someday no one would make me eat liver and onions for dinner. When I look back on this one still seems bad. But as kids, we always long for that freedom, the ability to choose for ourselves, to not have to share everything or to decide what we wanted for dinner instead of being stuck with liver and onions. But now that we've grown up, we have the freedom we wanted. We realize it isn't quite as easy as we thought. Without anyone telling us when to go to bed or reminding us to eat our vegetables, it is so easy to slip into bad habits. Suddenly we find ourselves grabbing that second helping or skipping the workout because no one is there to hold us accountable. We wanted the freedom, but freedom comes with its own set of challenges. The responsibility to care for ourselves becomes our own. And this is where the work starts. What were some things that you looked forward to someday when you were growing up? Think about the little freedoms or the big milestones that you daydreamt about as a kid. Maybe having your own bedroom, a closet full of clothes that you picked out for yourself, or a special car when you got your license. Maybe it was being able to choose what to eat for dinner, or traveling, or staying up past bedtime without someone telling you to go to bed. What were the moments you imagined would make life feel different, exciting, and yours, where you'd be all grown up and in charge of yourself? Did you imagine life would feel different from what it does now? As a kid, you probably pictured your grown-up life as full of independence, adventure, freedom. You may have imagined a life where decisions were yours alone, where you could pursue your passions freely and your days weren't filled with chores, rules, or obligations. Did reality match your expectations? Did it exceed it in some areas? Where did it fall short? What childhood dreams or desires are still alive in you today? Some of the things we hope for as kids may still resonate with us today, even if it's in a different form. Maybe as a kid you always dreamed of performing on stage, or traveling the world, starting a business, helping others. Maybe you still crave that sense of adventure, that creativity or independence that excited you as a child. Are any of those dreams calling you now, wanting to be honored or brought to life? When we are kids, we are handed opportunities to learn. Piano lessons, math homework, science fairs, sports teams. And every one of those experiences teaches us how to try, fail, but then try again. As adults, we often forget that we're still supposed to be learning something and stretching. We forget that we can still sign up for something new. We forget that discomfort is where growth happens, and that we need people to challenge us, guide us, and push us to reach our potential. Even as a teacher, I saw that. When I first started teaching, I realized most of what I'd learned in college didn't actually prepare me for the classroom. I had to go back, relearn how to teach basic math, not from a textbook, but from experience, from practice, from trial and error. And it's the same in life. We never truly master it. We just keep practicing, getting a little better, a little wiser, a little more ourselves. And sometimes we can see people who are even older than us who quit growing, who quit pushing themselves. And we can see them digress to maybe even an immature state. And we think that adults and older people are supposed to have it all figured out. But we don't, unless we keep pushing ourselves to grow, unless we keep pushing ourselves into those areas that might not be comfortable, but to practice and to get a little wiser, to get a little better. So my big picture message for you today is that we all need accountability. We all need someone in our corner who calls us forward, not because we can't do it, but because we deserve to have support while we grow. A life coach isn't a magician. They can't just wave a magic wand. They don't fix your life. Here's what they do. They walk beside you, reminding you who you are, what you said you wanted, and reminding you of how capable you are. Sometimes they see things that you can't. Sometimes they call you out when you're stuck in your own story. And sometimes they are the voice that helps you push through when life gets hard or busy or overwhelming. We were raised with that kind of support. It is familiar. It is safe. It's how we learn to become who we are. So working with a coach isn't about needing help. It isn't about working with a therapist and digging into your past. It's about honoring the way we were built to grow, with community, accountability, and encouragement. Let's look at a few more questions. If someone were to ask you today what support you wish you still had, what would you say? Think about the guidance, encouragement, or accountability you had as a child, the teachers who pushed you, the coaches who challenged you, the parents who set limits and cheered you on. What kind of support would make a difference for you now? Is it someone checking in on your goals, cheering you on when you take risks, helping you make decisions, or being a steady presence when life feels heavy? If you could design a grown-up someday for yourself right now, what would it include? Think about the life you always wanted, the one that you daydreamt about since childhood. Would it include traveling somewhere, having a home that feels calm and like your own personal retreat, pursuing a hobby that you put on hold, spending more time with friends, family, or a partner who truly aligns with your vision? Think about a life filled with freedom, joy, and fulfillment. What would that look like if you got to create it from scratch today? What little dreams, like your childhood soda or choosing dinner, could you claim back for yourself today? Because small joys matter just as much as big goals. Maybe it's taking a solo trip and having some growth, gaining some independence, or saying yes to something that you've been putting off, setting aside time for self-care. Are there small ways that you could reclaim your freedom, pleasure, get your spark back, gain some joy and personal choices, the little things that make life feel fully yours? Growth is not a one and done thing. Most things in life aren't. And it isn't about our age or perfection or having it all figured out. It's about choosing yourself, stepping forward and allowing yourself to evolve. So if you've been feeling stuck or maybe like you've lost your spark, growth doesn't stop when we're 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, or ever. You are allowed to want more for yourself. You're allowed to ask for support. You're allowed to evolve. We should never stop, because this next chapter of your life, it is still yours to write, and you don't have to do it alone. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who needs a little reminder that growth is a lifelong journey. And if you're ready to have someone walk beside you as you rediscover your spark, visit projectu22.org to learn about our coaching. Thank you for listening to Project U 2.2. And until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and keep showing up for yourself.